Hello YouTube and welcome to the very first episode of my new series that I'm deciding to kickstart on this channel, which I'm calling the Take It or Leave It show, which is basically my inspired show from the famous, well, I think he should be famous from how many views he gets, but the well-known YouTuber Kadikarous' show, which he decides whether or not, in his words, a game should be slaughtered or salvaged, which basically means, should the game deserve to be here? Does it not? Or does it deserve to be here, but it does have a lot of flaws? So this is basically my inspired series on it, and I will be kicking it off by covering the Crash Bandicoot N. Sane Trilogy, one game at a time. So in this episode I covered Crash Bandicoot 1, in the next episode I'm going to cover Crash 2 and then Crash 3. And then after that I'm going to move on to other games, such as maybe Resident Evil 7, Kingdom Hearts, Final Mix, and then just obviously just keep going. So this is going to be a very good series in my opinion. And I'm going to thoroughly enjoy making these episodes, and I hope you guys are going to enjoy watching them as well, as I'm going to put a lot of time into these videos and just make sure they are absolutely perfect and retake any things that I think are bad or lazy. So thank you so much for watching this in advance. I hope you like it, and if you do, make sure just let me know if you want to see more of Take It or Leave It. And that's it from me for now, so yeah, enjoy the video. That classic tune, everybody loves to hear it. It's just proper music to their ears. Well, what can I say? Crash 1 is definitely a favourite of many PlayStation fans, or even just platforming fans in general, because the game is an absolute classic and will never be forgotten in the market of, well, gaming or platforming games. Well, that depends if the Crash Bandicoot series gets fucked up again, because Crash's legacy has literally been all over the place. As back in the 90s, Naughty Dog made him the star he was, until obviously more companies took over, such as Vicarious Visions, who made the DS ports of the games, who also made this game, which is an absolute masterpiece, by the way. You then had Traveller's Tales, who made games such as Crash 4, and then Crash Twinsanity, which by any means, they were not bad games, they were absolutely brilliant. Well, that's my opinions anyway. But then you had some other shitty third-party companies who went ahead and made like Mind Over Mutant and all the other bullshits. But you know, I'd say after Twinsanity, the series turned into complete wank. But I'm not going to discuss this anymore, so let's just jump straight into this. So the game started with an intro cutscene, but I can't show that as the cutscene will not replay, depending on, you know, if you've already like started the game, which is a shame, because I would like to commentate over the cutscene, but I really do not want to have to make another save file just to play through this entire game again, because last time I did that, it erased all my progress on the other ones, and I do not want to risk that again, because I've just recently 100%ed this. Well, not including the relics, like the classic 100%. But anyways, so Crash 1 Remake contains basically everything from the main game, which was just, you know, the odd couple of islands with an odd boss fight here and there, and then a large, like very large variety of levels that are all absolutely brilliant challenges, apart from the first couple of levels. And they are all very similar design to each other, as not only is it just a long line of levels, but it consists of a few levels of the same theme, then it just jumps to another theme, which is something that is great about Crash Bandicoot 1, as it had a lot of stuff in store for the game. And considering this was one of the first ever games that was official platformers, if that made sense, this is actually a brilliant game. And the N. Sane Trilogy edition really does make it really does make some brilliant changes. But anyways, we're gonna just hop straight into the first level, which is very appropriately called Insanity Beach. Please just don't peer over to my records, because you know I experimented a little bit. Let's go. So this first level, Insanity Beach, is an absolutely fantastic level for beginners, because not only does it introduce the mechanics very well, but it also just gives you a brilliant taster of what the game is like. And in the Insane Trilogy edition, it definitely does go to show for the brilliant graphics of this game. So from the very start, it introduces the Aku Mask to you, and it also introduces enemies and other stuff. So you had these big crabs back in the day, and obviously they've come back now because this is a complete remaster. And then obviously you can just go around collecting your stuff. And also a very cool Easter egg in the Insane Trilogy is if you got 100% on a game and you come up to certain spots in certain levels, you can actually see the fake Crash Bandicoot, which is based off a very, very rubbish plushie that Japanese stores were selling to do with Crash Bandicoot. I'll just give it a minute to turn around. Yeah, he's enjoying himself. Anyways, so moving on from that, it also gives you a good chance to try out the Invincibility Aku mask, which basically makes you Jesus. Like, if you played Sonic the Hedgehog before you played this game, or Super Mario, you think of it as a power star or one of the invincibility boxes. Also, another great thing is that it's very easy for the player to collect all the boxes on this level, which in the Insane Trilogy, it gives you a box counter, which is very nice. So, this gives you a very great opportunity to save your game, as back in the original, you had absolutely no possible chances to save your game unless you captured a gem. And the way you got a gem in the olden days, you had to complete not only the stage without dying, but go through the bonus stages without dying. Now this was changed in the Insane Trilogy version, so you can go through the bonus stage and die. But now, well, not now, sorry, but in the older game, you had to do it completely without dying, which was a huge challenge for players back at the time. And now that, because I've already collected all the boxes on every stage in the level, if you come here, there will be a box counter, and if you break all the boxes like I have done now, a gem will spawn, give you the chance to pick it up, and it will give you the chance to save. The next few levels of the game are exactly the same thing as the last one, apart from a few of them have obviously greater challenges, and some of them introduce some other different, well, more challenging gameplay, if you will. So I don't think there's much point in showing the gameplay, but if you want to see some gameplay, I'm pretty sure it's all over YouTube. So if you want to just have a look, then go ahead, be my guest. Now we encounter the first boss of the game, Papu Papu, or as many people like to call him, Fatty Fatty. Now as you can see, Papu Papu is an extremely easy boss, so you just need to make him spin around and then just jump on his head. Papu Papu is by no means hard at all, but in the Insane Trilogy he is definitely much harder to beat than he was in the original, as not only now do you have to run away from his stick, but you have to jump over it because he spins much faster. And now you have to deliver 5 hits instead of 3. So it's nice to see that they made Papu Papu a little bit more of a challenge, because in the original Papu Papu was just way too easy, and also in the Insane Trilogy, oh, well that was unfortunate. Well, in the Insane Trilogy, it's even greater because we get a nice shot of Papu Papu's beautiful ass crack. Lovely. I'm pretty sure we didn't need to see that in the game, but it's a fun addition for the kids to laugh at anyways. So either way, this is a very easy first boss. Like, you can't expect much from a first boss. And I just died again because when I was recording this, I was a bit of a retard. But anyways, I'm just gonna keep playing through this boss really quickly before I beat it, and I'm just gonna commentate over the other stuff that's great about this design of boss. Because not only does this boss stick to the theme of the first few levels in the Wumpa Islands, I'm pretty sure I jumped then. You know, despite it being in a very similar design to the Wumpa Islands, this is a very easy boss fight. Well, I said that and I just died a few times. But the boss fight is easy. I was just a little bit rusty at this game because I haven't played it for a very long time. And it's Crash 1 and I'm not used to having no power-ups because I've been playing a lot of the power-up games recently. But obviously, like I've been saying, it's a very easy boss. He's got some nice man boobs and a nice flabby belly with a good ass crack to go along with him. He also needs to buy himself some shoes. You know, because if Crash can get himself some fresh tracks, I'm sure he can. So the music for this level as well, not level, boss fight, is very fitting as well because it does go with like the native theme, and obviously the native theme went along in these levels. I got slapped in the face. So nothing really happens in this boss, but obviously, like I said earlier, since the original game, the boss is now much harder than it used to be, and also they have left it in to where if you die too many times on a boss, they will give you an Aku mask, which is very nice because I do think I actually needed it here because I was playing like absolute dog shit during this recording, and I don't know why. I think it's just because I haven't played the game for so long and I don't memorize exactly his hitboxes, but oh well, at least he showed me his beautiful ass there. So the boss fight, to put it short, is a hot skip and a jump over a fat man's stick, and then it's all over after 5 hits, where it should have been 3. But obviously people said that it was a very easy boss fight and they wanted it a bit harder, and they got their wishes. Now, if you're very bad at the game, then you might die a few times on your first attempt at the boss fight, but afterwards you're gonna perfect it, and it'll be almost impossible for you to die. And as you can see, Papu Papu is down and Crash does his celebration. Moving on. This level here, called Hogwild, is basically a pig riding level. So if you don't know what I mean by pig riding level, just if you can think of horse riding, where you have to jump over obstacles whilst you're going through the stage, it's basically that, but on top of a pig. And the introduction to this level, like, it always makes me laugh, because for one, it's a pig riding level with a Bandicoot, and also when you spawn in, it looks like Crash is honestly about to fuck the pig. Look at him. This man just hijacked a pig, and it looks like he's about to rape the pig. So the level isn't hard by any means, it's just got a couple of tricky jumps. And obviously now with the analog controls for the game, people said it was much easier, but I personally think this level is much easier with the D-pad controls, because if you're trying to go like in a certain direction, the analog stick might get you screwed over a little bit. And also the jump hit and the hitboxes in this game, for some reason, have been screwed up majorly, because like if you can like do this in one attempt on your very first try flawlessly, then that is some skill, because now because of the messed up hitboxes, the jumps are very wonky when you have to do them, because you could do it absolutely perfectly, but it won't register that you jumped over it. It will kill you instead. And not only is it a one hit, like if you get hit by anything and you're dead, it's all, some of the jumps, because of the camera angle, are also very dodgy and hard to register. But other than that, it's a very easy level and a very funny one. So after 2 more very long levels that are also very annoying, we have our second boss fight, which is Ripperoo, a very crazy sort of animal, which is also a very unique boss fight, which he basically has a unique jump pattern every time you hit him. Basically, you can't hit him with like normal spin attacks. You have to jump on these big boxes of TNT, and you have to blow him up. But a good strategy of this level is that you can hide here in the scenery and you won't get hit by Ripperoo. It's a very good strategy used by many people, and I used it myself on my very first playthrough of the game. And by playthrough, I don't mean, oh yeah, let's just do a let's play the game, because I'm 4 years old. By playthrough, I mean like when I live streamed the game and you know whatnot, because I'm not 4, I don't say let's plays. But now I should have killed him. Never mind, I completely forgot the recording. But now he jumps in a very pattern of like a diamond, so they should get him. Yep, there you go. So this fight is very easy, and I don't see why people have troubles with it, because it's probably, I think it's easier than Papu Papu on your very first try if you know what you're doing. But I'm not too sure. Either way, Ripperoo is a good boss fight, and it's also very easy. So it's nothing too hard for beginners. So far this game has like, if I have to be 100% honest, even comparing it to the original game, it's more hit than miss, admittedly. I think there's only been one miss at the minute, which is the the Crash fucking the pig part. But now we get introduced to coloured gems, which is basically the same as a normal gem, but this time you're not allowed to die to get these gems compared to the other ones. So these gems allow you to unlock new stuff in other levels, to access secret hidden areas, to go back and get more boxes to get the gem on a level, which is good replayability, but it definitely does get a lot tedious. But moving on, we have this level. Oh my god. So before this loads up and I explain to you guys why I'm saying oh my god to this level, can I just say, if you watch one of my previous streams, you will know why I hate this level so much. And it's Big Brother, which we're going to come on to later. But anyways, this level is shit. So basically what the level is, it's you running around on a bridge. Nothing too special really. But then when you take into consideration that some of the planks fall if you stand on them for too long, and how narrow the things are, and you can't kill the pigs, and you're only allowed to stand on these peachy planks, there's ice planks. It's honestly a load of shit, because this not only is the level extremely hard, no matter what type of controls you use, whether that's D-pad, analog, or fuck knows what else you're using. It's an extremely hard challenge for most gamers. Even as a coordinated Geometry Dash player, you will probably not able to beat this level on your first ever attempt at it, unless you are very lucky. But a good trick that a lot of people abuse, and that I admittedly abuse myself to get the gems, is you can jump on the ropes. And you can run along the rope and get to the end of the level like that, just jump between the ropes. So, obviously a lot of people use it because they don't want to have to torture themselves in this hell. But if you are up to the challenge, you can definitely try and beat the level legit. And once you get the red gem from the level I like to call Fuck You, you can access this area to get a couple of lives and more extra boxes, so you're able to get the regular gem on this level. But you have to be very careful on these linear platforms, otherwise they will literally fall and you will probably break your own neck in frustration. You know, can we just like forget about Crash's neck for a second, because he doesn't have a neck? And let's just talk about ours really quickly. But to be fair, most players really do hate this level, and it is a lot easier on the Insane Trilogy version, because now the graphics are much clearer, and you know, Crash's jumps feel a lot more balanced, because in the original Crash felt way too heavy, and not only was the draw distance a bit wonky, and the graphics were way too pixelated, well not pixelated but triangular to see things properly. It made the level a complete nightmare. It was like playing Unfair Mario or Unfair Sonic, which is a game that I do not like to talk about because it's a pain in the ass. But this is a very good example of one of the bonus stages. So the bonus stages basically can vary in 3 different ways. You can either come to the treetops with Toner, you can go to the mines with Brio, or you can go to the factory with Cortex, each playing different music. With Toner's playing this very happy music, and with Brio's playing dark music, and Cortex is playing the Cortex theme. And there she goes. This is a good chance not only to get extra lives, but to save your game in the original, and also to obviously collect the boxes. So once you complete a bonus stage, it puts you back into the level, and also you have to be careful. You have to take good look at your surroundings in these levels, because I just killed that turtle and I'm not supposed to. So now I have to take the rope, which I'm just gonna keep taking because I really don't want to. But then if you get to this part and you have the red gem, you can also use it to go above the warp, and it spawns in like more platforms as you walk, where the Wumpa fruit is. But I am not going to be doing that in the recording, because I don't want to have to be here for about an hour attempting to walk across invisible platforms as they spawn in front of me. So what I did, I just ran across the ropes again. I think I died in this part here, I'm not too sure, I can't remember, but anyways, I didn't die, I was wrong, but I jumped over the thing instead, and I just decided to warp out of the level. And this is what happens to poor Crash if you miss boxes. Despite me already having all the boxes, it still decides to animal abuses. It's not fair. It's not fair. Another very cool thing about the game is also there are these keys, which not only give you access to 2 other bonus levels, one another pig section and one another level that's similar to the level called Lights Out. It's another great challenge for you to just go head off on your own and find the key, because you cannot 100% the game if you don't have the key. As you can see, it says 100% because I have both keys and all the gems, including the coloured ones. I don't have all the relics, but they are not necessary. But now we have our third boss fight called Koala Kong. So Koala Kong definitely isn't the hardest of bosses, and I don't know if they took inspiration of Donkey Kong's name for this boss fight, but it's definitely this strange one, because the guy is a flexing koala with some skinny ass butt cheeks. But all you have to do in the level is just dodge the rocks he throws at you, and when he decides to be the Hulk and throws one of these big fucking things at you, and he thinks he gets you, you gotta spin it back at him and you gotta slap him in the face. And then it's basically just rinse and repeat, and you also not only have to avoid the rocks, but you have to avoid TNT as well. So the strategy to use is to stand in one of the corners and then just run away, but make sure you don't get blown up. You can also spin the rocks back at him in mid-air. but it's a very risky thing to do, and I wouldn't recommend it if you're a beginner. So this is once again another rinse and repeat boss, but it's not a difficult one by any means, as you can probably do this within the first 5 minutes of you playing the boss fight. Boom. So Koala Kong is a 4-hit boss, obviously because he's one of the more beefier bosses who can definitely withstand more hits. Make sure not to get blown up by that TNT, because that is definitely a very tricky thing to time. So now that we got that, he is dead, and he's going to be carried away by the minecarts because he's getting way too cocky. Perfect. So the next few levels were these very irritating factory levels that were either long platforming segments that are very difficult, or very small corridors where you had a lot of shit rolling towards you, and obviously that was just going to kill you instantly if you wasn't careful. But as you can see here, this is the level I'm talking about, and I didn't mean to pick that up, so I did kill myself because I really didn't want to pick that up. I thought the barrels was going to roll towards me. So basically all you have to do is, if you want to get all the boxes, just do what you need to do. But if not, you need to avoid these barrels that roll, and you have to kill these guys that throw them at you. So they do give you a good chance, because they do give you quite the bit of Aku Aku masks. But another thing that is very frustrating about this level is that it is one of the levels for a colored gem where you have to break all the boxes without dying. And if you do break it, well, if you do break them all but you died, then I'm afraid you're gonna have to restart, because the level isn't hard by any means if you're doing it normally, but when you get to parts like this where the bouncy barrels are introduced, that's where it gets hard for the colored gem challenge, because not only are they very hard to avoid, because you can't just jump over them, you have to determine where you have to stand if there isn't one of the porky out ledges that you can stand on. So when you have a look here, now that I enter this territory, there will be some red barrels, I think they were. No, yeah, some brown barrels that bounce at you. And despite the improved camera angles, it's still extremely difficult to determine where they're going to go. Now, if you're wondering what controls I were using in the recording, I was using the D-pad controls, because I do not like to play the analog controls in Crash Bandicoot at all, unless we're talking GameCube, because GameCube analogs are 10 times better than anything, and also the GameCube games had very smooth controls. But anyways, moving on from the whole analog versus D-pad debate, the game was originally designed for D-pad, so the whole fact of you being in a 3D world, having to just go around in segments like this, it was very hard to do whilst using a D-pad. But then obviously later PS1 controls were made where you had analog sticks on them, which was very good, because it was especially designed for games like this. But honestly, it doesn't really help too much with the gameplay, because in levels like this, it won't make a difference whatsoever, because it will literally do nothing other than allow you to run around a bit more freely than what you can. But to honestly get used to where to jump to avoid these barrels, you just need to either avoid them and watch the bounce pattern, or just run and hope you get lucky, like this. But then obviously you need to make sure you don't jump into it. You gotta spin this last guy, and then you're out of the level. We now move on to our next boss fight, Pinstripe Potteroo. Now, Pinstripe is one of the more unique and badass bosses in the game, because not only does the guy have a Tommy gun, but you need to hide behind the furniture of Cortex's little house thing, or whatever it is, whilst he is spraying the entire room with his gun. And the best strategy for me is to just hide in this little corner, but when he goes into the middle, you have to spray him. And as you can see, there's a nice little hint on the floor that he wants you dead. Just make sure that doesn't happen, because you will more than likely die. So you need to be very careful, and you need to watch very closely, because when he does that, where he knocks himself out due to the recoil or whatever it is that he knocked himself out to, You need to run out there and you need to hit him as fast as possible, otherwise you're going to mess up and you're going to lose your chance. So he goes to the middle around 3 to 4 times and then he decides to mess up. But then he will go to the top of the table every now and then, which you need to be extremely careful about because he will just hit you at random. Well, that's what I encountered. If you move away, the best thing to do is mainly to follow him, which is just to but when he's in the middle, just hide behind any of them, and wherever he goes after that, you just follow him. But apart from that, Pincerette Potteroo isn't a hard boss by any means, and I think he meets his grim death. Well, it's not a death because it is confirmed he lived. After the boss fight, we have Hell Part 2. If you don't know what I mean this. Another bridge level. Now, this level is extremely infuriating because not only now... Excuse me, I was just choking how bad this level is. But not only now are the jumps much harder and you need more precise timing, and the pigs are literally everywhere now. You are required to know this level inside and out, and not only do you need to get the right momentum when you need it, you need to be extremely cautious of how you do your jumps, because with these turtles, it's very easy just to stomp on them and look like you'll be able to make it, but just go straight through the tail, because the hitboxes in this game, like I said earlier, are extremely messed up. But like I did there is a method that speedrunners use, where they very frequently jump between the ropes and the bridge, which allows you to, for some reason, have huge speed boosts of it's basically like a sprint, if you can call it that. Because for some reason, the way the game works, it will just not only speed you up a tiny bit, but it will also give you a tiny little bit more momentum, so it's easier to make the jumps, like I did there with the turtle. So if you bounce off the turtle and you land on the ropes, you can also get a steady grip on the rope for about a few seconds. By a few seconds, I mean like 1 or 2. But it's definitely not hard the first few parts once you get used to them. But the first few times you play through, it's extremely infuriating, and it's a level that many people fear due to its extreme challenges. And if you're going to just attempt the speedrun method where you jump in between the rope and the bridge, you're going to have to practice it a shit ton, because when I say it's hard, I mean it's hard. And not only is it hard to stay on the ropes, because not only does it throw you off because you're not supposed to be there, but when you're going further across the ropes and the rope bends between up and down, left and right or whatever, it makes it so your drop shadow doesn't show you where you are. You need to just play and find out where you are. So that's why taking the ropes on segments with turtles and obviously the snappable bridge parts as soon as you touch it is not a good idea, because the second you land, you could be absolutely brown bread. You could be done for. So that's why when you get to this part, I'd recommend dodging that turtle for starts, jumping off this one and then straight off that one, smack him, jump on him, and then make it to the checkpoint. So it's definitely not, the level isn't hard. Well, it is hard, but what I mean is, from a speedrunner's point of view, or from a general platforming pro's point of view, it's not a hard level. It's just the challenge of being able to stay where you need to be, whilst also getting through the level as fast as physically possible, because you don't want to stay in it much longer is the challenge, because you do not want to play this level over and over again because of its difficulty and its literally frustrating sections that are some of the most glitchy things in a game. And not only is that box up there extremely pathetic to get, because when I was going for my box run and I missed it, I had no fucking clue what I missed. And also another shitty thing is that at the start of the level you have to run backwards and find invisible platforms to be able to jump on, which is something else that's a bit shitty. But here the ropes do definitely come in a lot of use if you can actually jump on them, which I appear to have troubles with here. But obviously, like I just did when you do the whole turtle thing, what I mean by you need to be careful with where you jump on the turtle is because if you jump on the very edge of the turtle, it might not register that you're on the turtle, and it might just like think, oh yeah, he's just jumping off the edge of the block normally. You know, no big deal. But also be careful not to spin that TNT because you will probably get yourself killed if you do not have a mask. But the masks do not come in much handy in these bridge sections because not only do they protect you from the TNTs or the pigs or whatever, it doesn't protect you from the fall. It doesn't do a Laffy 2 like in Mario Kart, where if you fall off the stage or you go off course the stage, it brings you back onto it. It just gives you the middle finger and tells you to die pretty much. These stages are absolutely harsh. They are what you call a challenge. This is more challenging than anything I have seen in a Crash Bandicoot game prior, going by the original standpoint, because like I said, this is definitely much easier in the N10 trilogy, even though I appear to be having a lot of trouble because I am just trying to speed through it now. And as you can see, I did the thing that speedrunners do where you jump on the ropes, but you don't actually jump on the ropes, you jump around the outside of the ropes. And I'm going to be completely honest, whilst recording that, I had a heart attack because I thought I fell. And I really didn't want to go through that again. But now this is where the platforming with the turtles gets a bit tricky, because now you have to time the turtle jumps. As you can see there, the end was right there, and now I'm all the way back here, which is ridiculous. Which is why I do recommend analog controls at this section specifically, and not anything else, because D-pad gives you more precise platforming, but for some reason when you use the analog stick, the control feels much smoother, and like it gives you more momentum, and you go like forward much faster. It's almost like you're sprinting. It feels much better with the analog sticks. But either way, this level is absolutely shit, and I would recommend getting through it as fast as possible whilst using the ropes to get the boxes. But make sure you master the rope trick first, otherwise you are in for a nasty ride. And straight after Hell Part 2, we get Hell Part 3. The notorious hardest level in the game, Slippery Climb. Now, in my opinion, Slippery Climb is nowhere near as difficult as the High Road or Road to Nowhere, because this is not simple platforming, but it's just like some very challenging platforming, as you have to jump between not only moving obstacles, but also if you fall, you are either done for, or you have to go through a lot of the stage again, which is why you need to practice this stage over and over again, costing you many lives in the process. So as you can see here, you have to just wait. You have, like, this is all about patience. If you try to speedrun this level, you need to get extremely good at the level, because obviously the time trials were added into the Insane trilogy, which makes the game even harder for Platinum Trophy on. But if you want to speedrun this level, you need to get extremely used to all the timings and what exact platform to jump to if you're using the birds. And another thing that pisses you off about this level the most in the Insane Trilogy edition, not only does the level, well, easier than it was because the better graphics and improved jumping, it's now a level that requires you to get all the boxes without dying, including the bonus stage, which is an absolute nightmare to complete. And as you can see here in the gameplay, I was not even able to make it past the first segment without reaching the checkpoint, without dying at least 5 times, which just shows the sheer difficulty of this level and why many people hate it. When I did the gem challenge for this level and I was able to get the red gem, I was extremely lucky because I got it on my first attempt, which just made me feel like I was an absolute legend, because I didn't expect to do it on the first try, because the day before I was trying to do it for at least 3 hours. But these falcon jumps definitely aren't hard by any means. They're just very frustrating to get used to. But these old men here, they're not really big of a threat, which is good, but you need to be very aware. You need to look at your surroundings all the time in this level, because the checkpoints can be hidden anywhere. And also you need to time those stairs. I got really lucky here in the gameplay because I jumped as soon as they came out, but they're on a very specific timer that you need to watch them for a few seconds to get to know the time. But these things here, you just need to memorize when they go in and when they go out, the time span. So this jump here is a bit of a bitch, because if you just don't do it right and you don't get lucky, you're not going to land on this platform here. You're going to fall to the very bottom and maybe off the map. So these go in sync here, so this isn't the hardest thing to do in the world. Sorry, that was just exaggeration. So as you can see there, I did fail that jump again, and I did fall to the very bottom because I was retarded, and I thought I was going to fall into the spike and die, but because I panicked, I ended up falling off the map, which is why in this level, like I said earlier, the level is all about patience and nothing else. You need to be patient, you need to have good memory because you need to memorize all the timings and all the jumps and whatnot. But not only that, you need to be good at the game in general because you need some some relatively decent skill to be able to pass this level without going downstairs crying like a little bitch and saying, "Mummy, Mummy, can you help me with level because you played this game before I did and you know what to do and I don't." And then your mum shouts at you because you're a little bitch and you're a noob. You know, that's what I used to do with games. But obviously I played it before she did. But that pathetic note aside, and me taking the piss out of most people, you need to be extremely cautious on this level. And also this level has a big brother itself that was not included in the main game because of how difficult the level was. And that level I am referring to is Stormy Ascent, which is basically the super buffed version of this level, as I would call it, as part of the GD community. But what I mean by super buffed is it is 10 times as hard as this level is. And also, not only is there a time trial for you to complete, which adds to the 100% completion list on the platinum trophies, you also need to be able to get the gem on the level, because not only is there time trials, but there is a gem on the level. Now, thank God it's one of those gems where you don't have to, you know, get all the boxes without dying. It's just a regular gem. But if that level was in the original game, you would have to do it without dying, and you would have to do that to save the game, which is absolutely ridiculous. So it's a good job they didn't include it and they put it back in this game as DLC. And as I was recording this, I was extremely pissed that I got killed by that because I thought I was nowhere near it, and I had to go through this again because this really infuriates me. But not only does the level look stunning on the PS4 or even the PS4 Pro, by the way, the level isn't hard in any means once you get used to it, because it's just like classic platforming. If you think of the older Super Mario games like Super Mario World, or even the newer installment of Super Mario 3D World or Super Mario 3D Land, the platform is kind of similar to that platforming, and the platforming in that game is much easier because it's a lot slower and you don't have to memorize as much. But this level, if you don't decide to like play through it many times and memorize it, it's all down to sheer luck, which is that's one thing that is very bad about most games. That, you know, it's really common these days that most of the things in the game are about luck or in-app purchases if you're playing a mobile game, because now people who make free games tell you to make in-game or in-app purchases so they can make monies and also bribe you to get all the stuff in the game. Treyarch, Blizzard, but those notes aside, the level by any means can be frustrating, but I don't think this level is worth your time to do the time trial unless you want to get the trophy, which you need to get gold or platinum relic on every single stage. So you're not allowed any of the is it sapphire? Yeah, you're not allowed any of the sapphire relics. And I still haven't got these yet, so I might go back on a stream to do these in the future if you guys want me to do that. But I still need to stream Stormy Ascent because I have not attempted that, and I will not be showing it in this video because it is not part of the core game. It is DLC, but the DLC is free, which is it's good to see that the DLC was free. Otherwise, I wouldn't have got the DLC. But this part here with that bird, you need to time that. That is a pathetic timing, because not only do you get one chance at it, but it's a very hard timing. Like that timing there as well is very infuriating, and that just made me just throw my controller halfway across the room until I picked it back up again because I thought I broke it and then continued playing. But from that timing alone and the timing with the bird, you can see just how difficult this level can get. And not only do you lose many brain cells whilst playing through it, and your what's that word called again? Your patience levels go down, and like your temper rises as the level goes on and on and on. You will gradually feel like committing suicide if you cannot beat this level. Because I kid you not, on the PlayStation 1 edition of this game, I could not beat this level. And it actually made me feel like stabbing myself with a fork, because I didn't want to hurt myself tremendously. So, you know, I was smart. But I didn't stab myself in the end, so that's good. One like equals one prayer for my brain. And everyone else's brain who wants to beat this level. But these guys in here are just not concerned at all. These birdies, you know, require some decent timing. But now we are also introduced to these things, the brio heads, which I did miss one in this gameplay. But the brio heads act similar to the toner ones, which you basically just get ahead, go into a bonus level, get an opportunity for a checkpoint as it acts as, and just to, you know, get all the boxes so you don't miss your chance for a gem. And now you're here, and it gives you 4. This is the very end of the stage, and it gives you quite a few extra lives just to repay for the ones that you probably lost to this. Yeah, once again, I'm just like choking at this, how many boxes I missed, because that is just atrocious. I think I killed Crash. Oh no, man, he's alive. Yeah, well, he's very like hurt. Anyways, what I was saying is they give you many lives at the end of the level just to repair for the lives you probably lost to the level, because they know how hard the level is. I'm just making this like a very poor commentary now. I apologize for that. Anyways, moving on. That was a bit of a awkward silence. So now I'm just going to skip forward to the end of the game, because not only is Nitrous Brio a pathetic fight that isn't worth showing, and the lab is too long of a level, the Great Hall can access a secret ending if you have all the gems. But we're not going to do that. We're just going to go straight to the final boss. So the final boss of the game isn't hard at all. It's just one of the classical final bosses. Do you know, hit back a couple of things and you'll kill him. Not hard.
Darn you, Crash Bandicoot.
Something that I still don't think is right. How this guy here, despite being evil, gave us life, and we just destroyed his entire fortress. I mean, he's evil, but this is why we're here, and we're killing him and burning down his entire fortress, which is it's a very mean deed to be showing to kids. But meh, they really won't understand if they're just there to play for fun. You know, kids don't care about the story these days, unlike me. You know, I'm very interested in stories. You know, I don't read, but I'm still interested. Man's just running in on that beat. Anyways, so now the boss fight gets a little bit more tricky, because not only do you have to dodge the side-scrolling lasers and the ones who's shooting at you, but you have to deflect them back in order to charge up a more powerful one to hit back at him. And as he fires more, it gets progressively difficult. As you can see, he just incinerated me to death. But I now have more masks. So darn you too, bitch. Anyways, this is definitely one of the easier fights of the game, surprisingly. Like, despite it being the final boss, it's definitely one of the easier fights. Back at the time, people might have assumed this was one of the well, not even one of the hardest, probably the hardest, just because it was the final boss. Because back in the day of gaming, people just assumed the further you went in a game, the harder it got. And even if it wasn't harder, they just called it harder anyway, just so people could fear the road ahead. Similar to like how they did with Easter eggs. They read one thing and they instantly assumed something was there. Similar to how in Super Mario 64, when you read on the little gravestone thing in the back garden of Peach's castle, it said L. People made it out to say L is real, which people went to think that Luigi is a playable character in Super Mario 64, which he is in Super Mario 64 DS, but that he wasn't in the original. Which then that one Easter egg that was confirmed false by Nintendo decided to go on in Super Mario 64 DS, as people made up the rumor that you could play Waluigi, which is another load of complete bullshit. But I'm going off track here from Crash Bandicoot. This boss fight by any means is not the best in the game, and it's not the hardest of the game. The hardest boss fight in the game is more than more than likely Nitrous Brio, and the best one in the game is probably maybe Koala Kong or Pinstripe Pusheroo. I'm not. It's all opinion based, really. So is the thing with difficulty as well, because some people find certain things harder than others, and I definitely do not find this boss fight to be that hard. But as you can see, if you look closely in the background, not only are we raiding his airship and burning his fortress, but we are burning his factories as well. And if you look at the intro cutscene to Crash Bandicoot 2, which we will show in the next episode if this gets positive feedback, he falls. Actually, no, I'm not going to spoil it. If you haven't seen it, I'm just going to wait till the next episode of Take It or Leave It comes out if it's very well received. And I do not know what killed me there, whether it was the green orbs or whether it was the purple one. But as you can see, I had a fun time there humping the screen for a couple of seconds. But I just wanted to, you know, keep playing the boss until I beat it, just so I could show the end cutscene to the game. Because obviously, why would you not show the end cutscene to a game if you're just gonna make a review on it and you want people to see what you mean by like the good or whatever ending? So this is technically the good ending. The bad ending is what you get if you collect all the gems and you decide to take the pussy way out by not fighting Cortex and escaping on one of the eagles from from Slippery Climb. You grab Torna and you fly away on one of the eagles, which I did show in a separate video. I don't think I'm going to link it. It's just called Crash Bandicoot Secret Ending, so you guys can go check that out whenever you want to. And I just confirmed that it wasn't the green orb that killed me. It was definitely the purple one. But now the boss fight gets tremendously hard, as you could see before. He now turns his gun into rapid fire mode and just goes absolutely ham. And it is by any means not easy to avoid. And you also have to spin back the green balls once again to attack him, which can go anywhere. And like I said very early on in the video, the hitboxes in this game are extremely screwed up. So whenever you try to like jump over one of them, the game will register it that you hit it and you didn't jump over it. And like that, I should have spun the orb back at him, but the game registered it as I got hit by it. So I'm just gonna say this now without concluding the entire parts of this thing. The Insane Trilogy edition of Crash Bandicoot 1 and the other Crash Bandicoot games in the Insane Trilogy in general are they're extremely good. They're definitely better than the originals, apart from Crash 3, I think, because the original Crash 3 is always going to be better. But sorry, I went a bit sidetracked, then I went brain dead, even though I'm reading off a script. I do think that the originals of Crash 2 and Crash 3 were better. Actually, no, wait, Crash 2 in this game will be definitely better. But the hitboxes are screwed up. They are definitely screwed up in the Insane Trilogy, in all three games. Because I've played through them all countless times and have been screwed over by nothing. But this is basically a free hit, because he shoots one green at you and all you have to do is spin it back at him, and then it is over. And that's it for Crash Bandicoot 1. So the credits roll as you set off into the sunset with Torna. So this has been the first episode of my new series, Take It or Leave It, which is where I decide whether or not a game should be left on the shelf or you should pick it up and give it a go. So I've come to a conclusion with Crash Bandicoot 1, both the original version and the Insane Trilogy edition. So I'm going to start with the Insane Trilogy because this is what you saw the gameplay for, and then I'm going to talk to you about the original. So for the original of Crash Bandicoot 1, I said I will come on to that in a minute. So the Insane Trilogy, definitely, if the three games were available to buy on their own, so let's say Crash Bandicoot 1 Remaster was available on its own instead of part of the Insane Trilogy, is definitely worth picking up. You should take that shit, because Crash Bandicoot 1, the remake, is so much better than the original. But that does not mean the original is bad by any means. but it is so much better than the original by far, and I could not deny that. But the original is still worth taking. So we have very positive feedback so far. So we already have a 1 take and no leaves. And if you are wondering if what would happen if I think the game is good but it's bad at the same time, I will say you should play a demo instead of just leaving it. Just play a demo and see if you preferably like it. And if there is no demo, then just go to a friend who has it and then just play it. But I definitely recommend picking up these games, both the original and the new version. So thank you for watching part 1 of Take It or Leave It, which is my show inspired by the Kadikara show. So once again, I would like to thank you all for watching. Leave a like if you did enjoy it, and let me know if you want to see more of this in the future. I don't think I'll be taking requests, and I don't know if I will do any GameCube videos, because obviously I need to do cuts like what I've been doing, and also I do not want shitty quality. And I will make a video explaining GameCube very soon, because there has been a lack of uploads recently, and I will explain that. But anyways, thank you for watching part 1 of Take It or Leave It. In the next episode, we will continue with our Crash Bandicoot's Insane Trilogy by covering Crash Bandicoot 2. So thank you for watching, subscribe if you're new, and peace.